Good evening, everyone. I would like to call our regular board meeting to order at 7:30. The location is 2600 South 13th Avenue at Schroeder Park. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President.
Present.
Trustee Tiernan,
Present.
Trustee Jones,
He's here.
Mayor Thompson,
Here.
Trustee Horn,
Here.
Trustees Abraham and Ronald Moore absent. Mayor Thompson, the Broadview Center is pledged to allegiance.
Thank you.
Broadview encourages citizen input. Those wishing to address the village board on this public comments must fill out the attached speaker request form and submit it to the village clerk prior to the start of the board meeting. The president will then call your name at the appropriate time. When addressing the village board, your remarks are limited to 3 minutes. When the village president recognizes you, please state your name and address for the record, and please speak loudly. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond.
Shirley Redmond, 2246 South 24th Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Thompson, trustees, department chairman, and residents.
Good evening.
First of all, before I ask my questions, let me just say thank you to Sam Sacco for great service. Appreciate it, and good luck to you. Here's my 3 things. I know it was at the last meeting that we had our administrators here that, they said their report was on file, but for those of us that come out to want to know what's going on, is it possible just to have a short summary? It doesn't have to be every little detail that you all see. It would certainly help us in the public to know what's the important highlights of those reports. And I know we can get copies because I did get a copy for myself, but that doesn't help the rest of the people. They want to know what's going on. So we would like you to consider it. And then the second thing I want to say to Trustee Abraham and her group that had this finance meeting, I appreciate it. But I do have a question. Now that we are moving toward the 911 center and equipment being ordered and so forth, I'd like to know, when are we getting the first payment from Maywood? What date, approximately, sometime, and how much is it going to be a part of the total? And then the third thing, when Ross Financial came here, I believe it was the last meeting to talk about senior housing, I understand that in that initial agreement or the donation of land, it was going to be a quick deed, and because of Mayor Thompson, my understanding was that you asked for a lease, that we lease the land. I do understand that, but I'm going to tell you what doesn't sit right with me. I think that if we're going to have land, why aren't we selling it? And why are we not getting property tax off of it? And then I know with the people moving in, there's going to be sales tax. Now, when I sit at these meetings and I hear about revenue, that's what I want to know. And I know this was an application, and we had to do this to get points. I understand the big picture. But what I don't understand is that when we have to raise our levy to pay increases for pension and whatever, and I love our fire people, public works, and everybody else, they're wonderful. But when it's time to get revenue, why aren't we trying to get it? And, excuse me, what safeguards do we have now that this application has been submitted, that our $1.7 million that we didn't put into this land, and when I say that, not just for the sale of this land, we bought Edmark property at $350,000 or more. We're giving them the annex, we're doing whatever. What do we have to make sure we get our money back in Broadview so it comes back to the citizens? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Mr. Clark?
Okay, item 3, communication. First thing I have is a letter to the fire department from Maywood. This is dated January 14, 2019. In regards to the Maywood Fire Department Box 200 on 12/31/2018, second alarm 204 South 17th Avenue. It reads, your crew was a part of effective and safe operations, including successful communications and logistics support directed towards safely protecting a neighbor's home from the threat of fire, while also extinguishing heavy fire in a two and one half story balloon frame structure. This dangerous task was complicated by significantly wintry conditions and also the threat of injuries associated with abandoned, unsecured, and structurally unstable buildings. Please pass on to your personnel my sincerest appreciation. Respectfully, Craig A. Bronall, Chief of the Fire Department. And this is just one of many accolades that the Fire Department has accepted this year already, so that's off to them. Mayor, please let the record reflect that at 7:36, Trustee Abraham is now present. And then we'll move over to the next communication, and that is the recognition of Sam Sacco and his service to the village of Broadview. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Sacco, would you like to? So tonight, we will approve a resolution in honor of Sam Sacco for his service to the village of Broadview. The corporate authorities congratulate Sam Sacco for 38 years of service to the village of Broadview, and whereas Sam Sacco gave the village of Broadview Public Works Department 38 years of distinguished service as public works artisan labor for the village, and during that time, he also served as a water meter reader. And whereas the village president and the board of trustees and the president of the corporate authorities desire to honor Mr. Sacco for his career of public service, and whereas based on the foregoing, corporate authorities have determined that it is necessary and appropriate to congratulate Sam Sacco for his years of dedicated service to the village and its residents. Mr. Sacco, we just want to say happy retirement, congratulations, and thank you for your 38 years of service to the great village of Broadview. We do have a resolution that will be passed tonight, and we'll make sure that it's forwarded to you in the future. We did recognize Mr. Sacco at our holiday celebration with the entire staff, so at that time, he was awarded a plaque for the years of service from the Public Works Department and on behalf of the village of Broadview. So once again, we just want to say congratulations and thank you for your years of service. So, Mr. Sacco, 38 years, do you want to say anything to? I mean, because I know.
I just want to thank all the departments that I've worked with, all the people that I've worked with in the village of Broadview, the citizens, all the boards of trustees that I've cooperated with, the mayors, many mayors, going back to Mayor Braga. I also like to thank my wife, Connie, Matt Ames, Director of Public Works, my last boss, and I appreciate this high honor by the village. Thank you.
You're welcome, so deserving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes from the February 4th regular board meeting that will be presented at the next meeting. Item 5 is consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $1,463,889.97.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Madam Chair of the Finance Committee, Trustee Abraham, will you please read the warrant list?
Yes, ma'am. Al Warren Oil Company Incorporated, $12,661.09. Artistic Holiday Designs, $11,722.50. B&F Construction Code Services, $6,203.48. Blackboard Incorporated, $4,442.50. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $160,268.88. Broadview Westchester Joint Water Agency, $212,875.20. Cargill Incorporated, $6,726.55. Groot Incorporated, $13,953.62. Edwin Hancock Engineering, $18,769. Geno's Heating and Plumbing, $36,337.50. Hometown Electric Incorporated, $5,522.15. Interior Investments, LLC, $132,646.38. Law Offices of Philip M. Fornaro, $6,157.75. Lindenhall Brothers Incorporated, $125,882.78. Mid-American Water, $13,382.93. Montana and Welch, LLC, $9,346.14. Riley Construction, $629,564.41. The Heat Engineering Company, $14,238. TNT Towing and Recovery Incorporated, $2,550. Our total expenditures over $2,500 is $1,423,250.86. Our total expenditures is $1,463,889.97. Our percentage of total is 97%.
Thank you. Trustee Ely?
Well, while going through the bills, I noticed that we had a number of bills that were months behind. Now, I'm told that inadvertently they were held on to, so we're just now paying them, but that's something, because we're a government, we have to keep track of those invoices when they come in. The other thing is that just now I was going through the bills and I'm down to O'Reilly Auto Parts, and one of the things I noticed was it mentions lift stands for 2001 Honda Odyssey. And to the best of my knowledge, we do not own 2001 Honda Odyssey. I can't understand why we would need lift stands for it. I was just concerned that we aren't getting involved in that situation that Channel 7 did the resume on again. So we're going to have to be especially careful there. That concludes my comments.
Okay, can you elaborate on what bills are behind so that we know, and can you, the Riley
Well,
invoice?
I point out to you for the table
Okay, well,
here, that was...
you mentioned it in a public format, so please elaborate so that the public know that we're not behind on invoices during the conversation that you and I had.
I don't mind going through them.
Thank you.
That was an invoice from the rental place, AA Rental, for tables and chairs from July of 2018. That one, further back, there were others too that had been late coming into the village.
Identify.
I was simply stating that we need to be especially careful and get those invoices in. We'll mess around and go from one fiscal year to the other, throw our budget all awry. Here's one from B&F, couple of months, December of 2018. That's not particularly late, but we need to pay them as soon as we get them in. So the point to be made was that we need to keep better track of our bills so that we can keep our budget and finances in order.
Does that conclude your comments?
That concludes my comment.
Okay, so with that being said, AAA rental, as I had told you earlier this evening, that with that, we just received the bill, so we can't pay something we didn't receive. So once we received it, now it's before the board to pay. As it relates to B&F, December, if the bill was submitted or services were rendered in 2018 in December, this is just down February, so I think that's timely and gives us an opportunity to make sure that services are being corrected. As it relates to the invoice that you identified with Riley with an Odyssey van or something like that, we probably should pull that and look at that because we don't own a vehicle that's an Odyssey, so that could be an error that was submitted. Trustee Tierney, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
The only comment I would say to Trustee Ely, and you already addressed the Odyssey issue, is some of this stuff is internal, John. It probably should have been taken up offline with the village administrator to make sure that everything was in order. We do, from time to time, get bills late from different departments, and we also get bills late sometimes from different vendors. So it just depends upon, you know, how they come in when we get to pay them. While we do try to pay them all on time, John, sometimes it just doesn't work that way. So I don't believe that there's any intention here, and I don't believe that anybody on staff is directly at fault for this, although it may have been an oversight in one or two cases, but I don't think it's done with any kind of malicious intent, Trustee Ely. I don't have any problem with the late arriving bills, Madam President, so, but I just wanted to let John know that sometimes that's an internal issue that should be taken offline. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Jones. Trustee Horn?
No comments, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
I mean, I don't have any comments other than, again, you know, some of these companies might have a different type of, you know, payment schedule when they release a bill, you know, once they set it up for, to bill us. So, you know, it's both sides, so when you look at it. So we'll just, you know, we'll just keep tabs on everything.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
I'd like to make a superseding motion to pull the one invoice from O'Reilly for more explanation.
What was the total of that invoice,
Yeah, what
sir?
was it?
That would be,
Why don't you
Can we see it?
because I couldn't hear anything the clerk said.
Which amount? There's O'Reilly Automotive has, what is it, 3?
So
So it's invoice number 4593-305-464. The date is January 4th, 2019. And the amount was $271.99.
So just the one invoice at $271.99?
Yes.
Okay.
what's the revised total, John? Did you do the revised total?
Okay, I heard one motion.
I'll second the motion to pay the bills as presented, absent subtracting the one invoice. I just don't have an accurate total.
That amount, Chad.
Thank you, trustee. It's been motioned by trustee Ely and seconded by trustee Jones to pay the bills as presented, with the exception of the O'Reilly bill totaling $271.99. Does anyone have a new grand total? Trustee Abraham?
It's being calculated.
I don't have my thinking cap.
The new total, Mr. Clerk, is $1,463,617,098. That's $1,463,617.98 is the new total.
It's been noted in the record, Madam President. Thank you. Would you like a roll call now?
Yes, please.
Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda. Item 6, village officer reports. These are given at each second meeting of the month, starting with the building department. Commissioner Dave Upshaw, he's currently in the zoning board meeting upstairs and probably will not be back in time. Madam President, do we have anything for Trustee Upshaw? I know his report is on file,
No.
and the trustees do have a copy of that report. So we will move on to the finance department. Finance Director Tim Hicks.
Good evening, trustees. The report is on file. Are there any questions at this time?
I don't have it.
No, but you know what, Trustee Ely?
No, it's, we're right in line with the budget, I take it.
No.
So
we're not
where are
right in
we
line.
with, the budget versus our spending?
Well, the report shows exactly where we are, so.
I
mean,
prefer
what are
to,
your specific
I prefer
questions?
to simply ask you so the audience, the residents in the village of Broadview would know what I know.
And what is it that you know?
No, I ask you a question. Ask you a question. How, are we in line with our budget? How are we doing, the spending?
We're doing. The
Mr.
village
Hicks,
is
can
doing
you
very
just for clarity, let me clarify probably what trustee Ely is asking. Can you just give a synopsis of what's going on with the budget year to date or where we are right now? Is that what you're asking, trustee Ely?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a quick synopsis of how we're doing financially.
How we're doing financially is that we're doing as expected according to where we are in the year. So we are approaching the end of this fiscal year, and revenue is coming in a little lighter than expected because we haven't received the property tax disbursements, and expenses are ahead of budget at this point because we have, or they're a little lighter than budget because we haven't expended a huge portion of the budget, which is the pension obligation. So once that hits, because the two departments that are very favorable are police and fire, as the report notes, and that favorability is predominantly 90%, 99% because of the pension payment, which is, and so once that's made, then all departments would be right in line with where we would expect them to be at this point in the year.
Thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
Why are you not reading your report anymore?
Because we put it on file for clarity.
No. Well, this mayor ran on a transparency platform, and by not putting your report publicly, by not reading it out loud, saying it into the record, and telling the people that we represent what exactly it is in your report. A report is very ambiguous.
So can I answer that since he talked about what I did in my platform? So my platform was transparency and honest and being responsible. The department heads put their reports on file for you all to read, so if you have any questions, and I think transparency begins with all of us. So if you're reading the reports, you know what questions to ask on behalf of a resident. Not only that, we have regular standing committee meetings where a lot of this stuff is discussed at the committee meetings with the finance chair. So it was a directive that I've gave all the department heads to, you know, just for the sake of the business of the village, is that so that we don't spend a lot of time on these initiatives or these conversations. It goes through the finance committee, and the committee comes back to the board and report to the board. So that's why that had taken place this way. Now, I did hear the public comment as it relates to Ms. Redmond asking for more details to be spoken up at the village board meeting, and that's fair. So we can do a summary of the conversations that take place through a committee meeting so that we don't take up a lot of business of the village, because this is a business meeting to move forward the village. So if trustees were, you know, obligated to their fiduciary duties and reading the reports, you would know what questions to ask so that you can advocate on behalf of the resident. I think that's fair, that's transparent, and that's being responsible.
Well, and my question again is for Mr. Hicks. If we're going to be paying him with money from our taxpayers out here, I think that he has an obligation to give a full, concise report every time he comes in front of this board. We are not obligated to being at the department meetings or a finance committee meeting. This is the meeting of the entire board. This is the business meeting of the entire board. And he has been given the report. People come here to hear the report. The report should be put on file. It should be live streamed so people can hear it, and not him saying, or any other department head just saying, my report's on file. Then there's no reason for them to really come here unless we have some questions to put to them. And my question is I want them at each and every meeting to read their report so that people can actually hear it, and the people in the audience may have a question next week about what they heard this week on the report, because none of them know what's in the report. The reports are not necessarily for us. You can put them on file and they're for us for that reason, but more importantly, they're for the people that we represent. We represent the taxpayers here in Broadview, and I think that these people should be able to hear it. It should be put on record. It should be put on file. It should be presented in a public forum, not in a committee, not in a finance committee meeting or anything like that. This is the general business meeting, and all of these people come here to hear the reports. You're sitting up here, it says committee reports. It says it right here, department head reports, I'm sorry, it says department head reports. You haven't given a report. You've submitted a report and it's on file. This says you're supposed to be given a report. And that's where I'm at with this. I'd like to get a report from all the department heads. Historically, we have always given reports. It's just in the last several months that all of a sudden we're not giving the reports publicly. Last 2 months. The last several months, 2 months. This makes month number 3. Okay, either way. So what I'm asking is for them to give a report. I don't care if it's a short report. I don't care, you know, you say in the essence of time, Madam President, and I get that. We're trying to be transparent. I want to be as transparent as possible. Yeah, we are trying to be as transparent as possible. And I need him to, out of his mouth, say exactly what's in his report and what is. We shouldn't have to ask him where we stand on our budget. He should be telling us where we stand on our budget in his report. And his report may say that, but the public doesn't know that because they're not privy to the report. It's not in their mailboxes. It's not delivered to their homes. So I think that all the department heads should give a report and tell everybody where all their departments stand. Every month, every meeting that they're responsible for giving a report, they should let everybody know. And for me, for all the rest of you department heads out here, if you're going to stand up here and say your report's on file, do we have any questions? My question is, read your report.
So noted your comments, Trustee Jones, as I stated in the public comment that Ms. Redmond had identified the reports not being read. A summary can be, and that's something that we should be considering. So it's noted that of the comments that you made here tonight, but once again, the trustees do have a copy of the report on file, and if they fail to read the report to know what questions to ask of any department head, either at a board meeting or prior to a board meeting, then they should do their fiduciary duties and start reading the report so they know exactly what questions to be asked to get their questions and answered prior to a board meeting. But once again, we can, when we have our department head meeting, we can talk about summarizing the report so that it's available at a public board meeting that's conducive for everybody to understand and translate. So you're right, everybody don't have the privilege to it, but the department head reports are on file with the clerk office. They're more than welcome to get a copy of it and read it for themselves, but we can summarize it so that we can be very transparent. So does that conclude your comments, Trustee Jones? Thank you. Trustee Horn?
So you want to summarize it? Right, okay.
Trustee Abraham?
Did you want a summary? Did
Yeah,
you want
I
to
would like to.
summarize it? Do you want to just give the high points? I know we had our finance committee meeting, and I know you elaborated on some of the higher points. So if you can just please bring up where we're at. And I know we're going into certain other things going on right now with the budget planning and all that as well. So if you want to just highlight some things, please.
So I can pull it up.
If you want to step aside so we can go through the meeting, then while you pull up your report, then come back and give a summary. Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Next department head is the Fire Department, Chief Tracy Kinney.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and residents. I'll highlight the emergency responses. The report is on the website, and it has a lot of statistics, so it's worth going back and looking at as a resident, getting on the website and seeing exactly what our call volume is and where we're going, especially in our contracts, because it's something that it's hard for me to read here one by one, so that is something great to look at. But for the month of January, we responded to 265 emergency calls, and they included response to 2 house fires, 1 in Forest Park and 1 in Westchester, and we also had a hazmat box in River Grove. As far as Loyola, we responded to a total of 31 calls on campus, Hines 43 and Madden 4. Fire Prevention Bureau, 186 activities and 101 citations. And I'll just jump down to billing. We billed $22,800 to Loyola, $23,900 to Hines, $4,100 to Catholic Charities, $3,000 to Madden Mental Health, for a total of $53,800, and this is for the month of January. I also wanted to highlight that we received an award for our smoke detector program, our risk reduction. We were number 2 in the state of Illinois for servicing homes. That's great. And this is through the State Fire Marshal's Office as well as the Illinois, I'll forget it now. Illinois
Fire safety, wasn't it?
Fire Safety Alliance, thank you. There's so many acronyms. So again, being second in the state of Illinois for taking care of our village, and that's a high percentage, 76 homes have been provided smoke detectors. So that's just an amazing thing. And this will continue for as long as the grant exists. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I'm sorry, I did want to answer to, and I know that was a concern for you, Trustee Ely, at the end of December, all of our vendors do well, ours, I'll speak for only, do a query, and they find out if there's any missing bills. So we'll suddenly get an influx at the end of December, not a mistake we made, because I'll go back and check every email and every bit of mail that came through during those times. They will forward and say, this is our fault, we missed this bill, and I'll attach that letter or make a notation on it. So you'll see probably an influx, about 10 bills from companies that never sent it to us. At no fault to us, they'll write the letter stating that, again, which I attach. So that is something common, there's a lot of, we have a lot of vendors and they have a lot of business, so it tends to happen. So that's it from my report.
Thank you. Trustee Ely?
Well, I was thinking that some time ago you introduced me to your invoice book where every invoice is placed in a book that you check occasionally, which is a very good practice. But obviously, we're not all doing that. We don't all have those systems, but it is alarming for late bills, late invoices, 6, 7, a year old to be coming in. But I'd like to think that we'll get better. Well, in the end, we'll be very good at this, but we're getting better all the time. But thank you for your good practices.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney?
No, just pass along to your guys what they do out there, this weather, the rain, the snow, the below zero. I know they were in a fire at Westchester when it was like 25 below degrees. Tell them thank you. It doesn't go unnoticed.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tierney. Trustee Jones?
I have nothing.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes, I'd like to thank Inspector Monks for attending the Finance Committee meeting and announcing what he's been doing. So we truly appreciate that and appreciate what your department's been doing with the smoke detectors. So thank you.
And it doesn't stop at smoke detectors. We stepped it up to another level of grant that they put out there called Close Before You Doze, and I'll talk to you all about that next month when we have that established.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
That's it.
Chief Kinney.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have the finance director back on the podium. Mr. Tillett.
So there's a couple things. One, we have our finance committee meeting and we go in depth. I mean, we have very in-depth conversations that go into a lot of specifics about the financials during that finance committee meeting. In the event of saving time here, it would be just regurgitating the same information that we have in that finance committee meeting. As it relates to bills, if you're aware, the state policy is net 60. So we don't have a stated policy, but in keeping with cash flow, that would be the best practice following what the state kind of mandate is for a municipality, is that your bills are to be paid within 60 days. So, it's a great testament to the village administrator and the staff that gets the bills out. We're only responsible for paying the things that come to finance to be paid. So if there's any glitch or any holdup within the departments, that's, there could be a variety of reasons. So what you're seeing is just an anomaly. It's not the norm. So let that be known that's not the norm. We have systems in place for this to run a little better than it had in the past. In terms of an overview, just a quick synopsis. So through January, for the month of January 2019, we pulled in approximately $815,000 in revenue. We had approximately $841,000 in expenses. Year to date, we are at $9.3 million versus expenses of about $9.9 million. The variance, or where we're lagging, is we're expecting a huge property tax inflow, which is where we're about $2.5 million behind, and of that amount, predominantly all of it is in property taxes. And as I stated earlier, all of the variance, the favorability that we're seeing in expenses is attributable to the large pension payments that just haven't been made yet. So that's a summary. And if there's more detail to be had or wanted, I would encourage all the trustees to come to the Finance Committee meeting. I would encourage all of the residents to come to the Finance Committee meeting, because in that meeting we can go into more depth and answer more questions specifically and have more time to answer any and all specific questions.
Trustee Ely?
None.
Trustee Tierney?
No question.
Trustee Jones?
None.
Trustee Horn?
I do want to just make one quick comment. So a lot of details are given at the finance meeting. That's why it is streamed live. I will go on record saying that I do ask a lot of questions just because there's just some stuff I just don't know. So I tend to make a lot of phone calls and send a lot of emails to the department heads and the mayor to get my questions answered, specifically related to finance and how they influence the other departments, such as water, drainage, and health, the business license committee, street sidewalks and alleys, even though I'm not sitting on all those committees. And I just want you guys to recognize something, or at least I'm gonna just call out something, and I'm gonna be really blunt with it. The fact is that there are some trustees who refuse to serve in the capacity that the mayor asked them to serve in. So you should not expect to get any information related to how finances influence those specific departments because they refuse to serve in those departments. When it came to street sidewalks and alleys, I asked the finance director and the entire finance team to be present at that committee meeting that I intend to have on February 25th so that your questions can be answered and addressed related to street sidewalks and alleys. I do realize that the team, the finance team, and all the other departments are cross-functional in nature, so I'm not exactly sure how they have meetings without engaging the finance team, because finances crosses every area. But because certain areas lack a chair, you're not going to get information unless some of us do more work than we can. And the truth is I will be happy to, but I have a full-time job and I just can't do it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Trustee Abraham?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I know a lot of our public, as well as some of our trustees, probably don't know the format of our Finance Committee meeting. And as Director Hicks has said, there is a lot of detail going on there because, one, we've made it a panel discussion, so it's more of a, the residents don't have to come up like we have a structured format here at the village board meeting where they have to come up, turn in a comment or say, I want to get up and ask a question. We do it after every presentation. So you do have different representatives, part of the finance team, that are there. So if there is, after a presentation's done and the trustees ask their questions, then we open it up to the community. So it's not like they have to think of a question. It's being done as we're doing it. So it's more of a panel discussion. It is open to everybody and anyone. And I mean, that's part of being transparent. Plus, with us streaming it live, it even makes it more helpful so that there's more information getting out there as what's going on with the village finances. So it is another avenue. And with, people are busy all the time. So, I mean, streaming live, it helps. They can, click on it and be able to see it. So again, you're more than welcome. Director Hicks is there, our budget officer's there, our village administrator's there. You have the 3 trustees are there. So I mean, and then last meeting we had Inspector Monks discussing the grant that he was able to get for the village, which offsets costs to get these smoke detectors and saves lives. So we are looking at things that are working hand in hand.
Thank you. Trustee Horn, you want to say something?
Oh, one other thing is that, just so you guys will know what we are looking at, the report that is sent out is an Excel workbook. So it's not a summary, it's not an essay, it's a bunch of numbers, line items that can be open for interpretation depending on how you read the numbers and what you define the numbers to be. So it is imperative. I think it would be extremely helpful that if you do have questions, ask the trustee specifically so they can be mindful of it, send them an email so they can communicate and get the information that you need. Come to the finance meeting, and if nobody else is available, you can always just hit me up and I'll be sure to get the question answered. I'm saying that just to say it's a spreadsheet, so you can interpret it any kind of way you want. You can derive numbers. He'll disagree, and that I can understand why. I'm just saying that you can consume the information and you can make numbers say something, depending on how you read it and your background and experience. So questions are valid, and if you have them, you know, we can just send the question in writing or come to the committee meeting. Maybe I said too much, but I'm just saying it's an Excel workbook full of numbers.
Madam President,
Yes, Trustee Jones.
I'd like to rebut a couple of things. There's been a lot of rhetoric that just went around about my comment about department heads giving reports in the village board meeting. The trustees would like our people to come to the committee meetings as opposed to the village board meeting. My specific request is we have an agenda here that says village officer reports, and I'm asking for a report, period. Not about my committee or a committee or any committee. I'm asking for each of these department heads to commit to giving a report once a month in the village board meeting. And I'm not getting ready to try to tell the residents to come to the board meeting and then turn around in a few more days and come to a committee meeting to get information that they should have gotten their answers to in the board meeting. That's just not realistic. Like you said, Trustee Horn, these people work. They have jobs. They have lives. They set aside the time to come to our regularly scheduled village board meeting, which is held the first and third Monday of every month. Those committee meetings are held at random, and you all determine days and times. We agree to a meeting schedule every year in December, and that meeting schedule is the first and third Monday with the exception of holidays, which is why we are here tonight on a Tuesday. And the public knows they can set their schedules accordingly. They come here to hear the reports from the department heads, and I think the department heads who get paid a large sum of money are obligated once a month to give a report that tells the people where their department stands, irregardless of any committee meeting or any information that's given out in a committee meeting or anything that you all may know about, the department head may know about, or anything else. These people deserve to hear a report. And they do not deserve to have someone pointing their fingers at other trustees because a trustee asked a department head for a report. And if you don't want the report, that's fine. But I think everybody, I'm talking directly to you. I think the people deserve to get the report from the department head directly. Not for a department head to come and stand at a microphone while we're live streaming in front of people that have taken their time out of their night to come out here and hear a report to say your report is on file. You got any questions?
That's not what I said.
That's not what you said. That's what the department heads have said in unison, like the Stepford department heads. Each and every one of them, and you can look at the video, in the last couple of meetings have come in here and said, my report is on file. You got any questions? And has nothing to do with committee meetings. So how dare you try to tell people they need to come to a committee meeting to get information they should be getting in a regular board meeting? That's it.
Okay, Congressman. It'll be
So,
quick.
no, Trustee Horn. So just like I said, we said that we heard the Ms. Redmond state that we should summarize the reports. We can consider that, and that's valid. And we want to be transparent, and we want the public to know exactly what we're doing. We don't have any secrets. So with that being said, I've heard the conversation tonight, and we will follow suit to this conversation, in particular to how the department heads articulate that conversation to the public, because we do stream live, and we want the people to have the information so that they can articulate. And we do encourage the public to come to the committee meetings, because what comes out of a board meeting kind of trickles into a committee meeting where you can have a more in-depth conversation. So with that being said, thank you, Director Hicks.
I would like to just respond to the direct comment
You've
made to
already
me.
spoke
It'll be
twice.
quick.
No, you already spoke twice.
Because, you know, to allude to something that's false is incorrect.
Next report, Police Department Chief Kevin Ugle.
Foolishness.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees.
Good evening.
The month of January, the police department responded to 1,228 calls. 28 cases were assigned to the detective division. 15 cases were closed with a 53% clearance rate for the first month. Officers attended the funeral of Illinois State Police Trooper Lambert, who was killed in the line of duty. Classes were basic cyber crimes, testifying DUI trials, and sexual assault investigations. Also, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this Aurora massacre that occurred. Also, hopefully, praying for speedy recovery for the officers. One of our officers actually went to the academy, one of the officers who got injured. So they said there wasn't any life-threatening injuries, which is true, but one officer lost his eye. So it was a serious injury. And it's ironic how that happened, and we've been training now. Last Tuesday, we had our rapid response training with half the department, the other half went this morning. So we do train for this type of incidents. We also, we have a large industrial complex here, as everybody knows, and we do get called once in a while to assist with terminations. Basically, we're called to stand by and possibly escort a person out of the building. So with that being said, it's exactly what happened in Aurora. It was a termination hearing for this particular individual. So we're going to go over our policies, our procedures a little bit, and kind of see what we may have to tweak. So, you know, this doesn't happen around here. So with that being said, any questions? Be glad to answer.
Well, just a couple of comments. One, I was reading your report and I see that the crime index is down 14.14% from last year. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Of course, like you just stated, you can always build a better mousetrap. But the one we're having is we appear to be down across the board in all categories, and that's great. That's absolutely great. Yeah. But I was just wondering, you know, we've been doing this without a working police station because we're working on building the 911 center and all that. So I'm thinking we don't need a new police station. You know, if we get these kind of results, you know, as is with the construction, I think it concludes my
You should walk through there once in a while.
Thank you, Trustee Tierney.
No, again, to your department, your personnel, tell them thank you for what they're doing, especially in this terrible weather.
Yeah.
So good job. Thank you.
Trustee Jones?
The Trustee Ely, I think that just goes to the fine police department that we've had over years and the consistency in which they do their jobs. We're very fortunate, John, for the police department that we have. We're lucky that we do not have some of the issues that some other suburban neighborhoods have. So thank you, Chief, for a job well done. That completes my comment.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes, I'd like to thank when Mr. Paul, when he Kurtzner comes and gives us the updates as far as the renovations of the 911 and what's going on in the Village Hall. So I'm glad we're moving along. I'm glad he's providing us the numbers as to what's the cost and what's been paid out and what's still available. So he's definitely given a very detailed report. So we appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll let him know. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, Mayor.
Next item, Madam President, is Public Works Department, Director Matt Ames.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees, everyone in attendance. As part of my complete report, I want to start by saying I know that I'm in favor on most nights of asking you to consider the report that I've put on file, that you've read it, and you have some questions that you would like for me to summarize or highlight, as opposed to having a report to you, the detailed number of potholes, dead squirrels that have been picked up. And I know at the time, Trustee Jones, I believe that it made sense because we were doing 3- and 4-hour meetings. A lot of unnecessary bantering was going back and forth, almost like tonight, between the trustees. There was absent factual truths in most cases, Trustee Ely. I'm actually looking forward to your public comments. But that being said, the month of January, we had 2 pothole field requests, 1 sinkhole complaint, and I will read this as a matter of record because you asked it, Trustee Jones, and as long as you're here and you ask, I will comply. But otherwise, my record is, or should I say my report will be on record. Real simple. One streetlight complaint. One missing manhole cover complaint. What I would like to summarize, and I was going to highlight, was the 4 large snow events where we consumed close to 500 tons of salt. So we're averaging probably about 125 tons per event, at least from the last 4 snow event averages. We had some forestry complaints that we dealt with, garbage issues, and there is a spike in our water main breaks simply because of the extreme cold weather. Those addresses are located on the report at 14th Avenue and 14th Street, 2440 South 14th Avenue, 2424 South 12th Avenue, 1500 West Roosevelt Road. We provided 285 rides in January on the PACE program. We had 5 sick days and no vacation time taken in the month of January. Lastly, what is not included in this report, and simply because the information didn't come until recently, from a meeting that we had with the contractors that's selling us the new water meters and the contractors that will be installing them. So we finally got a concrete schedule as to when that work is going to commence, and it will start March 4th, the week of March the 4th. We've forwarded some information to the mayor's office, and I believe we've asked her to put it on the website, on the newsletter, just to make it available in terms of the areas and how the program will roll itself out. That being said, if there's any questions as it relates to it, you guys are more than welcome to ask for the information that we do have. So,
Trustee?
I got some easy ones. Let's see, we got 1 manhole cover missing. That's iron, correct? Those things are made of iron.
some are.
How hard is it to get them out of there? You know, I'm thinking that iron would sell at a junkyard. It sell for a pretty good price, you know, so it was not an easy thing for them to get that out of there, right?
You're asking me to assume what?
Well, okay, let's
So,
move
yeah,
past
please.
that one. Okay.
So if we're gonna, and then once again, this is the abbreviated reports, okay? So how did the last investigation work out for you and your cohorts?
I say it again.
I'm looking forward to your public comments, Trustee Ely. Mayor?
Trustee, do you have more questions?
Oh, I thought he was elaborating on something. The house of salt holding up, we might have one more snow
We're great.
event. We good?
We just took 500 tons of delivery over the last few days.
Okay.
So-
And the, you mentioned the new meters that'll be going in. Who, Public Works will install them?
No, that information will be forthcoming.
He said there's a contractor.
The reason why I asked that, if we're going to be installing meters for the residential areas, wouldn't that be a good time to also install a cross-connection device?
Once again, that information will be forthcoming.
Okay, it'll be in your written report, in the email, or?
It'll be in any and everything that we're going to disseminate to the public.
Okay, I'm done.
Trustee Tierney?
Again, thank you, Matt, for all the work that you guys do. Our streets are clean, probably clean quicker than anybody else around here.
Thank you, Trustee.
So, great job.
Thank you.
Trustee Jones?
Brother Ames, Director Ames, first of all, I agree with everything you said. To your point, yeah, we had some very lengthy meetings, a lot of banter and stuff going back and forth. What I'm asking for was not a detailed report. I just wanted a report, something that people can hear and get some questions answered. I'm not looking to find out every nail that's been nailed in, or every screw that's been turned, or every tree branch that's been picked up. I don't even need to know locations unless it's germane to public safety, you know. Aside from that, all I'm looking for is a report, Director Ames. That's it. I'm not looking for a long 4 or 5 page report with details and all those numbers and all that other stuff. The sick leave and stuff, that's for the mayor's office to be bothered with, not me. I just want to know, to your point, how much salt was used, what's the status of it, how's things going, do we have problems with axles on vehicles and things like that? That's what I think the public would like to know. That's it.
Well, let me say this. So this has been my experience, Trustee Jones, is that most folks really don't care about the challenges that we have down there. To your point, we had 2 trucks that actually went down in the midst of these severe snowstorms. Couple that with some other anomalies and challenges that we had. People don't care. They want to know that when they go on their roads, that it's clear. When they walk on their sidewalks, it's clear. But this is what you can help me with and what you have helped me with, meaning the board that supported our new trucks that will be delivered. So again, there's nothing else to report or talk about. We get through with what we have, and we'll receive what you folks have already blessed us with, okay? So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Horn.
Thank you for responding to all the emails, for taking me around to actually see the water main breaks. When I requested it, I was able to ride around with them and actually see the streets and the things that they were doing, because I wanted to get some firsthand knowledge of how things were impacting the residents. I asked him a bunch of questions. He responded. So in addition to that, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the support, Trustee Horn.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes, thank you and your staff for getting the streets done with the plowing. I know the snow's been on and off, and again, you're expecting another snowfall tonight and going into tomorrow. So again, your staff has been doing an outstanding job. So please, thank you. I know there's they're putting in a lot of time, and I know you got these guys going 24 hours, so we truly appreciate that service. Thank you.
Trustee Abraham, you hit it on the head, the staff. We got some great people down in Public Works. Thank you all.
Director Ames, just for the purposes of the water meter, I made a copy of the installation schedule with the areas that's going to impact it. So if you want to pass it out to the residents tonight, that would be great. Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
All right, next we have the Administrative Department, Village Administrator Leticia Jones.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and residents. For the month of December in the Administration Department, we have just completed and finished our employee manual. We have it sent to you for your reviewing. If there's any questions or comments or any corrections, I just please that you ask that you send me an email or call me so I can review them with the department heads and also with the mayor. As for employment, there was no employment for the month of January, no open insurance claims. As far as for the union contracts, right now, the fire department has went back in negotiations, so we're pending discussion. As far as for public works, administration, and building, is still in arbitration. For the water department, the billing complaints, we had 15 for the month of January. With those, it was because when we had the bad snowstorm, and when we had the mailing, it was no mail for the 2 days. We had concerns where residents called in asking why would we not shut down the village as well as how the post office did. I did explain to them that we were open those 2 days, so we were open full days on those 2 days. What the mayor challenged us is how can we get together, how can we bridge our departments, meaning building, public works, and the water department, in order to find solutions so that we don't have these many complaints moving forward. So what we did as the department heads and also our employees, we formed what is called a water committee. Within that committee, we review on a monthly basis any complaints that we get before it goes to the mayor's office. With that, we look at, okay, how can we kind of decrease those amount of calls with any concerns? Well, let me just give you an example. In the month of December, when we looked at, okay, how could we challenge ourselves in order to meet the needs of our community, we changed the date. Where it's always due at the last business day of the month, we changed it and we put it for the first week in January. So that month, January 2nd, when we came off of the holiday, December bills weren't due until the 2nd of January. So we're looking at, and when we got challenged by the mayor, we're looking at ways of where we can help not only our village, but also our community and our residents, of helping them so we kind of troubleshoot and we get ahead of what we see that could be happening when it comes to the billing department. So I just wanted the trustees to know, also the community to know, that we hear your complaints. We are open to learning and suggestions that you may have, but that we are taking the first initial, and we're moving forward as far as making sure that we troubleshoot and that we get all complaints answered in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ely.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the water billing complaints, because this afternoon, between noon and probably 4:30, I had no less than 10, possibly 12 calls from residents in the village of Broadview. They received their water bills today, and they all had complaints. The water bill units had increased, and they all had a late charge penalty fee added to the bill. You just mentioned that you moved the date back to the second day of the next month. Did we miss a month? Did something happen in January that caused these water bills to spike now? Because 10, 12 people, you know, occasionally I'll get 3 or 4 calls and they'll complain about it. I've complained about my water bill myself.
So, Trustee,
but 10 or 12 is quite a bit. Did something happen during the month that would have a water main break or something like that to make the water bill spike?
Trustee Ely, let me just, before Administrator Jones answer your question, as it relates to complaints that come directly to you, I think it's best appropriate to direct the complainer to the Village of Broadview so that we can log and track the complaints, because based off the conversation, I don't know if it's a true complaint or if it's something that could have been rectified, and we don't have the particulars in the particular complaint that you're speaking of. You're talking a general, broad conversation right now. This is not that meeting to have that conversation. Anyone that have a complaint should follow the protocols that we have established, and that's call the village and file a complaint so that we can log it and track it, because we can't troubleshoot and come up with best practices or solutions in a format like this. So I know Ms. Jones has said with the late bills, the conversation that she said took place in January. You're talking about bills that came out today. I don't know if we got complaints today reference to what you're speaking of, but I think in all due fairness and all due respect, I think it's best practice for the person making the complaint to call the village so that we can track and log complaints, because we truly track and log all complaints that come into the Village of Broadview. Because we can't
totally
have best
agree.
practices if we don't know how to fix the problems,
Okay.
and we can't fix it at a village board meeting.
I totally agree, and Ms. Jones and I have had this conversation before, and I have a regular practice of directing people to call Ms. Jones specifically in the village offices. That's what I tell people, and I would imagine you've had some calls. You know, this is not a new conversation for us. But that being said, I was just wondering if something had happened during the month that you're aware of that would have caused all these bills to spike. Now, all these calls that I got this afternoon, I advised all of them to call you to find out, you know, what's happening. I'm a consumer myself. I had the same additional charges plus the late charge, you know, and but I'll handle mine. I told each and every one of them that I would, if I got an answer for them, I would call them back individually and let them know what you told me, which is why I was asking you this question. So we'll move on. You can answer their question individually when they call or come to see you at the village, fire department, whatever. Now, the very first line of your report, you mentioned that the employee manual handbook is ready for approval. That's great. That's absolutely great. The date of your report is January 2019. That's great too. So you would have finished the handbook, I assume, in January of 2019. I got an email copy this afternoon. It would have been nice, before you asked me to approve it, it would have been nice if you'd given me a little time to read it.
Once again,
Thank
that's not, Trustee Ely, that's no fault of Administrator Jones that you got the handbook. When we submitted all of the legislation, the clerk did not forward the legislation would included the handbook. So
then he created
therefore,
the same problem.
Yeah, well,
I need time to read it before
we recognize that it has not come up for discussion as of yet. So, but we have recognized the handbook not getting to you guys in a timely fashion.
That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Trustee Tierney.
Yeah, Mrs. Jones, thank you very much for working on this handbook. All we've had in the past are ordinances, village policies, nothing with a comprehensive handbook for the employees. I think you've done a great job. We're probably going to table this tonight because we got them late, but we will pass it eventually. So all I have to do, thank you for working on it.
Thank you, Trustee Jones.
A couple of things, as it relates to the complaints regarding water, Ms. Jones, can you please articulate as to what the root causes of the complaints are as you see it?
Well, okay, two things, and thank you, Trustee Jones, for answering that. We have what is called, when we send the bills out, we start with the yellow bills, we send the bills out on the 15th of the month. We let residents know if they don't get their bill in a timely manner, they're more than welcome to call, because anybody in the water department can answer the question, can pull up in order to tell them what the amount of their bill. That bill is always due the last business day of the month. What we're finding out is that when residents pay online through their bank, which is called ACH, they physically take the money out of the resident's account, they hand mail a check. It could be the very next day, it could be 2 days. So then it takes time to get to us, the water bill department, of where it can take anywhere from 7 to 10 business days through the mail. So we've been letting the residents know that just because the bank takes that money out of their account, and it's called ACH, when they actually generate that check, we can't guarantee that. So they may put on the bill, okay, you'll get the bill by the 28th day of the month, let's just use February. It's not guaranteed that it's gonna get here on the 28th day. So of where we take the complaints on a individual basis. So we have some residents, they call in and they say, okay, you can look at my account and I can tell you I've never been late before. That's at the discretionary where I look at that and I talk to them one-on-one to let them know this is what they can do, they can troubleshoot, and I take care of it as they come. Now we have other residents that they choose not, and that's up to them. We have 4 ways they can pay. They can pay at the drop box, because the drop box is still outside. They can mail it in. They can also do online through our website, which we take all major credit cards. It is a fee, or they can come in and see us. We do have a credit card system right there on hand as well. So it's just up to the resident at hand of what they choose to do, what they want to do, but we were just making it known to every resident that they call and they have concerns that their bill that they pay through their bank does not come out in a timely fashion. And I've even talked to several bank managers, just explaining to them that you have to be honest when it comes to the residents, because telling them that, okay, we're going to get the check 2 days after, no.
Okay, so one of the issues is direct payments through a bank, check being cut, sent back to us. I'm sure that your office and the mayor's office is working on some kind of a process or some kind of protocol along with finance to put in place to try to alleviate this window of 5 to 7 days or whatever that is. That's one issue. And then you've got all the other. So all of these issues, basically, based on what you said, are involving payments and not overbilling.
Right.
So it's about late payments.
Yes.
And the overbilling is something entirely different. This is what Trustee Ely is referring to right now is basically an anomaly. Is that
right.
what you're
Nobody has called me today.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's fair. Okay. So the other question I have is in regards to the employee manual. And Trustee Tierney already spoke to it because everybody got it late, and that's great. And it's something that we've been working on for a while. My question is what employees are going to be governed by this particular manual? Do we have a specific set of employees that this manual is going to be for? Is it for all the employees village-wide? And if it is for all the employees village-wide, have we been in contact with the unions of each one of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it's village-wide.
Well, the reason I'm saying I just wanted to be put in the record, Madam President. Go ahead.
It's village-wide, but we also have appendix in there, and we have references of the unions.
Okay. That's it. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Horn.
Just 2 comments. The manual did come, but I did get a chance to read it, so I'll just leave it at that. The other comment that I have is that related to the water specifically, considering that it seems like processes need to be streamlined, There are some financial impacts related to the residents and how water rates, units, et cetera, is occurring. It would seem that a committee meeting should probably take place for the benefit of the residents getting information beforehand. And perhaps the chair should consider, or if we had one, they should consider scheduling it, but we don't. Thank you. That's it, I don't have anything else to say.
Let me ask you this. Did you want to, what do you call it, summarize what's going on with the vehicle stickers? I know you brought it up at our Finance Committee meeting as to what's going on, so if you want to go ahead and make comment on that and the fees.
The vehicle stickers go on sale as of March 15th. And what we're doing this year is that for all veterans, they are free of charge. All we ask is that when you come in, that we just get your information so that we can know who served our country, who's a veteran in our community. Also, it is free for active duty. We just ask also that you just bring in your information so that we can have it on file that you are in active duty. For senior citizens, it's still the same. It is $10. It's 2 per household. For residents that's not senior citizens, it is $25. So those will go on sale as of March 15th. They need to be on all vehicles by May 1st. The mailings will go out next week on the 28th.
Quick question, what information is required to prove you're a veteran?
So the information that's required is the DD form, the 214, 215, 256, or Form NGB, or Form number 22.
Very good.
And so it's in our next newsletter, so all the information is printed in our newsletter.
Very good. That's exactly, well, I knew, yeah, but good.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, due to a meeting earlier, Commissioner Upshaw is back in the meeting, and we'll be calling the Building Department, Commissioner Upshaw, for his report.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, residents. As it relates to the Building Department report, it is on file with the Mayor's office and the Clerk office. The highlights are as follows for the month of January 2019. We had over $100,000 in revenue, and that was basically due to business licenses. We had 25 complaints that dealt with garbage because of the snowfall and abandoned vehicles. As it relates to senior housing, we have submitted our application to the Illinois Department of Housing, the Illinois Housing Authority, and we're waiting for a response. As it relates to the enterprise zone that we had created between the following municipalities: Bellwood, Broadview, Maywood, Melrose Park, and Cook County. That application was submitted at the end of the year in 2018. We are waiting for a response to that as well. As it relates to village-owned properties, 2301 through 2305 Roosevelt Road, Precious Heart Daycare that is under contract, and I anticipate that closing, or we will be moving on to another prospective buyer at the end of this month. 2126 South 17th, Habitat for Humanity has a contract on that property. We anticipate closing within the next week or so. Also, the Village of Broadview has acquired 2 properties I had mentioned before: 1426 Roosevelt Road, as well as I just actually received the deed this evening for 2412 South 9th Avenue. We're still in court on 1516 Roosevelt Road, pursuing that abandoned property as well. Those are the highlights for the Building Department January 2019 report.
Thank you, Trustee Ely.
Yeah, Dave, 2412 South 9th Avenue, that's that building, one wall that come down. It's some distance from Public Works, right?
That is correct.
But there's somebody in between the two, or several businesses, between Public Works and that building. Now, the one, if Public Works could use it.
I'm not understanding, are you making a statement or asking me a question?
All right, the Public Works facility, there's a underground pipe company or whatever next to them, correct?
There is a business there.
And then comes the vacant building that we now have title to.
No, the building that I'm talking about is at 2412 South 9th Avenue. There was a fire, there was a storm, and the roof caved in.
Yeah.
There is a residence to the south of that. There is a residence to the north. It's directly across from Hines VA.
Okay.
The Village of Broadview has acquired that through the Cook County Land Bank, working with Montana and Welch, and I will be meeting with the Safety Committee, which consists of the police, fire, and public works, to determine and the mayor's office, how we'd like to proceed with that particular piece of property.
Okay, I have my buildings mixed up, but thank you. Good report. I'm done.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney?
Thank you, Commissioner Upshaw. Nothing.
Trustee Jones?
The two properties that the village is pursuing acquiring on Roosevelt Road, 1526 and 1412, I think you said.
1426.
Which businesses were in those two?
The 1426 was that restaurant, that Cajun restaurant?
The Cajun restaurant, or the Mexican restaurant?
The Cajun restaurant.
Cajun restaurant.
On the south side of the street,
Okay,
across
and
from
the other
MB
one?
Financial,
Right.
east of MB Financial. 1516 is the auto parts store,
It's the auto parts store.
and
Okay.
the Village of Broadview owns the parking lot.
The one that's next to the parking lot behind Walgreens.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify which two properties we were talking about, that's all. That's it.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Thank you, Commissioner Upshaw.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. The next item of business is item 7, old business. And trustees, this is a resolution that was tabled back on the January 22nd meeting. Item A resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for the furnishing of professional design engineering services related to the Braga Drive improvements, Stage 2, for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I heard Trustee Horn motion to approve it and Trustee Tierney seconded. Madam President.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to approve an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for the furnishing of professional design engineering services related to Braga Drive Improvement Stage 2 for the village. Trustee Ely?
Oh, well, put Chris on the spot again. What's stage 2?
So stage 1, which has been designed and is on the April 26th lighting Friday, which is hopefully a June construction, end of June construction, that went from 25th Avenue around the bend to Parks and stopped at 21st Avenue. Stage 2 is 21st Avenue down to 19th Street and then out to 17th Avenue. Stage 2 is a little more complicated. There's right-of-way acquisition that's needed. It's a much narrower right-of-way down through along the cemetery, stuff like that. So it's, we would be looking at April of 2020 for construction for this stage.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Tierney?
No question.
Trustee Jones?
I have nothing.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can. Thank you, Chris. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Excuse my voice. Item 8, new business. A resolution congratulating Sam Sacco for his service to the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This was motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Jones. Madam President.
The purpose of this resolution is to congratulate Sam Sacco for service to the village. We've already did that earlier, and so we just need to formalize it. So, Trustee Ely?
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
comment.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
Aye.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item B, a resolution adopting and approving an employee manual for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to table.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney and seconded by Trustee Jones to table this, and I'm
To the
assuming
next
to the
board
next
meeting.
board meeting.
March 4th.
March what?
4.
March 4th, next board meeting. And for the record, trustees, this was an oversight on my part, that this did not get included. I did get that from Letisa Jones, the village administrator, one Friday, so I take full responsibility for that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, this will carry over to the next meeting as a tabled item, and we'll address it on March 4th. Next item C, a resolution adoption of IDOT resolution concerning construction on state highways by the Village of Broadview or its agents.
Move to table until March 4th, please.
Can't hear you.
Second.
I said
Properly
move to
motion
table.
by
Table
trustee
March
Horn
Okay.
and seconded by trustee Jones to table this until March 4th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, this too will be tabled until the next board meeting, March 4th. Next item is item 9, applications for the authority to expend funds totaling $27,124.16. We're probably going to do this in two different approvals. So the first one is from Heat Engineering in an amount of $14,238 from the fire department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Tierney. Trustee Tierney, do you have this, or did you want to defer to the fire?
I'll have Chief Kenny come up. Thank you.
So just to update everybody, we do have an aging building, and Chief Tierney will let you know as well that these boilers haven't been addressed since his first year as a chief. So I'm not going to age you and say how long it's been.
You already did, but that's okay.
But this is one of 3 boilers. So this one failed, which it heated the apparatus floor. So that would have caused us some great issues if we weren't getting heat into our vehicles, the guys' gear and everything like that. So we had to replace that immediately. So now we will take the next 2 in succession of years. So I'll have all 3 done in the next, obviously 2 more years.
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yeah.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brumlin is absent, Madam President. This carries 5-0. Next item is Motorola, $12,886.16. This is from the police department. Trustee Tierney?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Tierney. Did I get that correct? All right, Madam President.
Trustee Ely?
No, I defer to the chief.
Okay.
Explain, okay. Good evening. This is for the FCC is requiring by 2021 that all of our radio bands go to 800 megahertz. We've replaced 2. This is for another 2 radios, so they're approximately $6,500. We still have 10 that we have to replace, so we're going little by little. So this is for the next 2.
No comment.
Trustee
No
Tierney?
comment.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brumlin is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item, item 10, village clerk. I don't have anything for you tonight, Madam President, which brings us to item 11, village president, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is just a reminder to everyone that I'm a full-time mayor to address all issues and concerns. Please schedule an appointment with my assistant, Lily Sabeda Sierra, at 708-681-3600, or send me an email at ktompson@broadview-il.gov. If you stop by the Village Hall, please ask to see me. If I'm available, I will take some time out to speak with you, but I'd just like to reinforce that I am a full-time mayor and I'm accessible. The Village of Broadview is implementing a mandatory water meter upgrade program to replace existing water meters and remote readers with a new fixed-base automatic meter reading system in all residential, commercial, and industrial areas. There is no charge to water consumers for this upgrade. Tonight, we did pass out the zoning map on the installation schedule. This information will be inside of the village website, and we'll post this as well as on our village, on the website and as well as in the newsletter. But if you look at it, it says the installation will be completed by zones. The meters will be installed by United Meter, Inc. Each zone will take approximately 30 days to complete. We will start installation the week of March 4th, 2019. The first zone is the Hollywood area, so if you look at the back of the map, it tells you exactly where the areas are. Also note, you will get a letter in the mail from United Meters, to confirm to schedule an appointment. So you're gonna have to schedule your own appointment with it, even though you got the schedule. When it get to your zone, start getting on the schedule so that your meter can be replaced. And this is the information. So it will be on our website as well as in our village newsletter. The active shooter, the Aurora active shooter, I know earlier part of probably fall or late summer, the police department did an active shooter for the businesses in the village of Broadview. And now that we starting to see these things become more prevalent in the communities, I think that's a good initiative that Chief Euglin had put in place to get the business engaged on how to protect the people that work for them. So I think it may be time for us to revisit the active shooter, and maybe we'll have more participants now that this has happened so close to us in Aurora. I mean, that's really not that far from here, and it can happen in any town. So my sincere condolences to the family that had lost, and my colleague, Mayor Irvin, in the city of Aurora. I just couldn't imagine something like that happening to me in a mayor watch. So it's a tragic in our state, tragic within the confines of where we are, but I think we could be proactive to get people educated, to put them in best scenarios just in case it happened in the place of employment. The other thing, we're gonna start collecting email addresses so that we can go, instead of doing the robocalls, because one of the complaints that we don't talk about, or they don't call the trustees about, is the robocalls that you get. So we do have, when we do a robocall, we do get 3 to 5 complaints about the robocall that people don't want them. And so I hear that. And so we're gonna go to a platform of doing constant contact where we can just send an email. And you either react to the email or you listen to the email, but we'll probably still do both simultaneously depending on the need of the community and how we move forward. So just be on the lookout to, probably on your next water bill for next month, we're gonna start collecting the email addresses so that we can start creating a database. The purpose of us to do robocalls is not to be in a political realm, and I think the determinant was back some time ago, we were getting a lot of robocalls as it relates to the political arena that was taking place in Broadview, but we're not in that arena anymore. We are really doing official business with the robocalls. But we do get the complaints, and we do hear those that's having these complaints. So just look forward to us being more proactive to communicate with the public on a more efficient way, so that it's not a nuisance to you all. I do want to address Ms. Redmond's comment. So as she talked about the reports, I think that's important, the summaries, that we can give us summaries, but we do also want to hold all of our elected trustees accountable to ask questions in a public meeting so that you guys can understand the dialogue and that they're being proactive in reading the information that's coming across their emails. As it relates to the Ross Financial and the selling land, I think we may do a subcommittee meeting just to address that, because that's a conversation that really needs to be had on how you look at land and what's proactive. But the one thing that I want to remind you all of is, although you're seeing it as us giving away land, you got to look at the economic side of it too. So let's probably have a subcommittee as we have that dialogue, because I think that's important for us to understand the economics to when we're donating land and then the return on our investment. So we need to know what the ROI is, right? So we need to have that dialogue, but we need to make sure that you all understand the concept of when you donate land and what your return on your investment when you donate land, what that really look like and what that means for Broadview. So I think it's time for us to engage in that conversation. We did submit our application on February 15th. It could take up to 6 months for us to get an answer back if we get approved or if we don't get approved. But in the meantime, we could start having this dialogue, to start having these conversations so that you guys could be at a place of some sense of comfort, whether you agree with the project or not. But I think that's fair. So we can most certainly do that. Let me see, Finance Committee. Oh, the Finance Committee as it relates to the payout for Maywood. So in the agreement that we did with Maywood, we put the money into a trust, the Chicago, into a trust. So then we know exactly what monies they paying into, and they wasn't combining our monies with the village. So right now we're waiting for Chicago Title to give us the lay of the land on how we get the monies back out, how they process to get the monies back to the Village of Broadview. So we still having that discussion. Probably by the next board meeting, we should have an answer on when the monies will actually be deposited, and then how Chicagoland transfer that monies back into the Village of Broadview. As of right now, the project, what their due is, I believe it's about $1.4 million that's due back to the village, but that's all in the Chicagoland Trust, and they're working out the particulars, because this is a unique situation where we wanted to make sure that they paid us the money first of all, but then that the money that they pay for the construction that's being done, that we're fair to them, that they're paying for what they're actually taking advantage of, and that's the 911 center and not the Village Hall renovation. So we'll be upfront with that, and I'm sure Trustee Abraham will probably elaborate more in a committee, finance committee, which we do stream live all of those meetings so you wouldn't be missing anything. But I think that's another conversation that should be an ongoing conversation, so that you all know that we're just not being negligent with the monies that's owed to us, and we're not. With that being said, I think that's all I have for public comments. Thank you for coming out, and God bless you. Can we get an adjournment?
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones and seconded by Trustee Tierney to adjourn the meeting. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we hereby adjourn this meeting at 9:01 p.m. Thank you.